There's a peculiar thing about human nature that strikes me every time I watch a person walk past a mirror. 9 times out of 10, they'll steal a glance at their reflection, or they'll adjust their collar, smooth their hair, or straighten their posture. But here's what fascinates me most. They're looking at the outside, completely unaware that the most important transformation they could ever make is happening on the inside, in the theater of their mind, every single moment of every single day. Right now, as you sit here, your mind is either your greatest ally or your most formidable enemy. It's either building the life you dream of or systematically destroying any chance you have of achieving it. The tragedy is that most people never realize they have a choice in the matter. They go through life like passengers on a ship, never knowing they could take the wheel and choose their destination. Let me share something with you that might shake you to your core. The life you're living right now, in this very moment, is nothing more than the physical manifestation of your dominant thoughts over the past 6 months. Every circumstance you find yourself in, every relationship you have, every dollar in your bank account, every opportunity that has come your way or passed you by is the direct result of the mental seeds you've been planting and watering in the garden of your mind. This isn't mystical thinking or wishful fantasy. This is the most practical, down-to-earth truth you'll ever encounter. Your thoughts have been quietly, persistently, relentlessly creating your reality. The question that should be burning in your mind right now is this: if my thoughts created my current life, what kind of life could I create if I took conscious control of those thoughts for the next 6 months? The answer to that question holds the key to a transformation so profound, so complete, that 6 months from now you'll look back at this moment as the turning point when everything changed. Not because of some miracle or stroke of luck, but because you finally understood the most fundamental law of human existence. We become what we think about most of the time. Think about a farmer who plants corn in this spring. He doesn't spend his summer worrying about whether corn will grow. He doesn't lie awake at night wondering if the seeds will sprout. He plants the seeds, tends to them, and trusts in the natural law that governs growth. He knows with absolute certainty that if he plants corn, he'll harvest corn. It's never been otherwise. It never will be otherwise. Your mind works exactly the same way. It's the most fertile ground on earth, and it's always producing a harvest. The question isn't whether it will produce, but what it will produce. Plant seeds of worry, doubt, and fear, and you'll harvest a life filled with problems and disappointments. Plant seeds of confidence, purpose, and expectation, and you'll harvest a life of achievement and fulfillment. But here's where most people stumble. They plant one seed of success and then immediately plant 10 seeds of doubt. They affirm their dreams in the morning and spend the rest of the day focusing on their problems. They're like a farmer who plants corn in the morning and weeds in the afternoon, then wonders why his harvest is so poor. The successful person, the person who transforms their life completely, understands that success isn't a single event but a process. It's not something that happens to you, it's something you make happen through the consistent daily discipline of controlling your thoughts and directing them toward your desired outcome. Consider the story of a young man who worked in a small-town bank. Every day he watched successful businessmen come and go, and he began to dream of owning his own business. But for months his dreams remained just that, dreams. He would think about his business idea for a few minutes, then spend the rest of the day worrying about bills, complaining about his job, and telling himself all the reasons why his dream would never work. Then something shifted. He realized that he was spending less than 5 minutes a day thinking about his dreams and more than 10 hours a day thinking about his problems. He made a decision that changed everything. He committed to spending at least 1 hour every day thinking about his business, planning it, visualizing it, and taking one small action toward making it real. Within 6 months, he had saved enough money to start his business. Within a year, he was earning more than he had ever imagined possible. But here's the remarkable part of his story. Nothing in his external circumstances had changed when he made that decision. He still had the same job, the same bills, the same challenges. The only thing that changed was the direction of his thinking. He stopped feeding his problems and started feeding his dreams. He stopped being a victim of his circumstances and started being the architect of his future. The transformation didn't happen because he got lucky or because circumstances changed. It happened because he changed the direction of his thinking and maintained that new direction consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month. He discovered what every successful person eventually discovers, that success is not a matter of chance but a matter of choice, and that choice is made fresh every single day in the theater of your mind. This is the power of the 6-month success plan. It's not about setting goals and hoping they'll come true. It's about understanding that your mind is a goal-seeking mechanism that will automatically move you toward whatever you keep focused on. When you give your mind a clear, definite target and keep that target in sharp focus, your mind will begin to find ways to hit it. It will notice opportunities that were always there but that you never saw. It'll give you ideas that seem to come from nowhere. It will attract people and circumstances that can help you achieve your objective. The reason most people never experience this incredible power is that they never give their mind a clear target to aim at. They're like archers shooting arrows into the fog, hoping to hit something worthwhile. They wonder why their lives seem to drift aimlessly from one crisis to the next, never realizing that a mind without a definite target will always miss the mark. But let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When you woke up this morning, what was the first thought that entered your mind? Was it about the person you're becoming, the life you're building, the dreams you're pursuing? Or was it about the problems you have to face, the bills you have to pay, the people who have disappointed you? That first thought of the day is like setting the thermostat for your entire day. It determines whether you spend your day moving toward what you want or away from it. Now here's the truth that separates those who transform their lives from those who remain stuck. The successful person has learned to be ruthless with their thoughts. They guard their mind like a fortress, refusing to let in any thought that doesn't serve their higher purpose. They understand that every thought is either an investment or an expense, and they choose to invest their mental energy only in thoughts that compound and grow into the life they desire. Think about the woman who decided she wanted to become a writer. For years she had told herself she wasn't creative enough, smart enough, or educated enough. She had convinced herself that writing was for other people who had advantages she didn't have. But one day, she realized that she had been using her creative powers all along. She had been creating a life of limitation through her thoughts just as surely as she could create a life of abundance through different thoughts. She made a decision that changed everything. Instead of spending her mental energy on why she couldn't write, she began spending it on the stories she wanted to tell. Instead of focusing on her lack of experience, she focused on the joy she felt when words flowed from her mind onto paper. Instead of comparing herself to famous authors, she compared herself to the person she was yesterday and committed to being a better writer today. Every morning she would spend 30 minutes writing, even if it was just a few paragraphs. She didn't wait for inspiration, she created it through consistent action. She didn't wait for the perfect conditions, she made the conditions she had work for her. She didn't wait for someone to give her permission, she gave herself permission to pursue her dream. The transformation was gradual but undeniable. As her daily writing practice strengthened her skills, her confidence grew. As her confidence grew, she began to see opportunities she had never noticed before. She started a small newsletter for her community, then began writing articles for local publications. Within 6 months, she had not only discovered her voice as a writer, but had also created a small income from her writing. The most remarkable part of her story wasn't that she became a successful writer, it was that she became a completely different person. The same woman who had once seen herself as uncreative and limited now saw herself as someone who could learn anything, create anything, become anything she set her mind to. She had discovered the secret that every transformed person eventually discovers. The only limits in your life are the ones you accept in your mind. This is what happens when you take conscious control of your thoughts for 6 months. You don't just change your circumstances, you change your entire identity. You stop being someone who things happen to and become someone who makes things happen. You stop being a victim of your past and become the author of your future. But here's what most people don't understand about this process. They think transformation should be dramatic and immediate, like a lightning bolt that changes everything in an instant. They're looking for the magic moment, the breakthrough, the sudden shift that will make all their problems disappear. What they don't realize is that real transformation is like the growth of a mighty oak tree. You can't see it happening from day to day, but if you look back after 6 months, the change is unmistakable. Every day, that oak tree is drawing nutrients from the soil, reaching toward the sun, growing stronger and taller, even when you can't see any visible change. Your mind works the same way. Every positive thought you think, every moment you spend focused on your dreams rather than your problems, Every small action you take toward your goals is adding to your growth. You might not see it today or tomorrow, but the compound effect of these small daily investments in your mental garden will astound you. Let me ask you another question that might sting a little. How much time did you spend yesterday thinking about what you want versus thinking about what you don't want? How many minutes did you invest in visualizing your ideal life compared to the hours you spent worrying about your current problems? Most people spend 90% of their mental energy on what they don't want and then wonder why their lives are filled with exactly that. It's like a person who goes to a restaurant and spends an hour telling the waiter about all the foods they hate, all the dishes they don't want, all the meals that would upset their stomach. Then they're shocked when the waiter can't figure out what to bring them. Your mind is that waiter, and it's been listening to your complaints for years, trying to figure out what you actually want. The tragedy is that it can only serve you what you keep talking about. If you keep talking about problems, problems are what you'll get. The person who transforms their life in 6 months has learned to flip this equation. They spend 90% of their mental energy on what they want and only 10% on solving problems as they arise. They've discovered that when you focus on solutions rather than problems, problems have a way of solving themselves. When you focus on opportunities rather than obstacles, obstacles become stepping stones. Consider the man who lost his job at the age of 55. For the first month, he did what most people do. He worried about his age, complained about the unfairness of the situation, and spent his days reading rejection letters and feeling sorry for himself. He was like a person trying to drive forward while looking in the rearview mirror. His focus was entirely on what had gone wrong, and naturally, more things began to go wrong. But then something shifted in his thinking. He realized that he had been given something he hadn't had in 30 years, complete freedom to choose his next chapter. Instead of seeing himself as too old to start over, he began to see himself as experienced enough to do something meaningful. Instead of focusing on what he had lost, he began to focus on what he could gain. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" he began to ask, "What can I learn from this?" He started spending his mornings reading about industries that fascinated him, networking with people who inspired him, and exploring opportunities he had never considered. He began to see his job loss not as the end of his career, but as the beginning of his real life's work. Within 4 months, he had started a consulting business that not only replaced his previous income, but exceeded it. More importantly, he had found work that filled him with purpose and passion. The transformation didn't happen because the job market suddenly improved or because he got lucky. It happened because he changed the questions he was asking and the thoughts he was thinking. He stopped being a victim of circumstances and became a student of possibility. He discovered that every ending is also a beginning, but you can only see the beginning when you stop staring at the ending. This is the choice you face right now, in this moment. You can continue to be a victim of your thoughts, allowing them to drift wherever they want to go, creating more of the same life you've always lived, or you can take conscious control of your mind and direct it toward the life you truly want. You can stop being a passenger and start being the pilot of your own destiny. But I want to warn you about something. The moment you decide to take control of your thoughts and transform your life, you're going to face resistance. Not from the world, but from your own mind. Your mind has been running on autopilot for years, thinking the same thoughts, following the same patterns, creating the same results. When you try to change direction, your mind will fight you like a wild horse that's never been broken. The path to transformation isn't paved with grand gestures or miraculous breakthroughs. It's built through the quiet, consistent discipline of choosing your thoughts, moment by moment. Every single day you stand at a crossroads between the life you've always known and the life you could create. The only difference between those who transform and those who remain stuck is the willingness to guard their mind like the precious fertile ground it truly is. Your thoughts are not random visitors passing through your consciousness. They are the architects of your reality, the silent sculptors of your future. When you finally grasp this fundamental truth and begin to exercise conscious control over your mental landscape, you unlock a power that has always been within you, but perhaps never fully harnessed. The 6 months ahead of you can be a continuation of the same patterns that brought you to this moment, or they can be the beginning of the most remarkable transformation of your life. The choice is yours, and it's made fresh every morning when you open your eyes and decide what kind of mental seeds you'll plant in the garden of your mind. Your future self is waiting for you to make that choice. But understand this, the resistance you'll face isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're doing something right. Every time your mind tries to pull you back into old patterns of thinking, every moment you feel the gravitational pull of familiar worries and doubts, you're being given an opportunity to demonstrate your commitment to the new person you're becoming. This resistance is actually your mind's way of testing whether you're serious about change or just playing with the idea. The people who succeed in transforming their lives are not those who never face resistance. They're the ones who face it and continue forward anyway. They understand that the discomfort of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. They know that every moment spent wrestling with their thoughts, every instance of choosing growth over comfort, every day of maintaining focus despite distractions is an investment in a version of themselves that doesn't yet exist, but is fighting to be born. 6 months from now, you'll either be grateful you started today, or you'll wish you had.